All right. Yo, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about getting attention versus paying attention. And so today, it's going to be a newer concept that I had, which is basically I'm tapping onto something that I've already talked about before. So this is a topic that I've done before, but I'm just kind of gathering what were the main ideas, at least what stood out to me again. So I forget exactly when I did this episode, but then this is an express session, meaning that it's not going to be as long as it used to be, like my Saturday videos, but it's going to be about 30 minutes and getting attention versus paying attention. This is a topic that I've always talked about, actually something that always stood out to me, and so which is why something easy for me to pick. Like if anybody was like, oh, what's the first topic you want to do, Mitchell, this will be it. And a lot of these ideas came from a TED talk from Joseph Gordon-Levitt, so I can't say that I thought of this just something that really stood out to me. So getting attention versus paying attention. And so a recap episode that I've done in the past was called adaptation. And the slide is on preparation. And, just like anything, if you were to prepare yourself for anything, not only will you save yourself a lot of time, you're going to be more competent in what you do and more confident ultimately too as well. And you can apply it to anything and anywhere in your life that you want to do, but just being able to adapt. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because we in today's society, I mean, if you think about it, with social media being a great tool, it also trains us to focus on getting a lot of attention, right? And so their whole entire goal is so that you could continue using the app, because then that's how social media companies, that's how they make money. Just like this, if you were to be on YouTube even longer and there's more ads and things like that, the more you're on here, the more money they can make. So it's in their best interest for you to stay here as long as possible. That being said, preparation, training yourself. So it's like, well, how do I get attention and pay attention? How do I find that healthy balance between those things, right? And most importantly is that you want to train yourself. And you want to train yourself where you're the only person that could train yourself to do this. Nobody else could help do it for you. And you can't control anybody else. The only thing you have control over is yourself. And if you train yourself with your mind, your body, and your soul in all aspects of your life, in all areas of your life, you will get better. Now, let's talk about getting attention. So getting attention, it's easy. It's very easy to want to get attention, because if you think about it, Tony Robbins talked about our 6 basic human needs, which is certainty, variety, connection, growth, contribution, and most importantly, especially in this episode, is significance. How important you are to the other person. So by having significance, you feel wanted, you feel like you're important, right? So now this is where how getting attention is a great feeling. It's a really nice feeling. It feels nice. It motivates you. It makes you feel wanted. It makes you feel important. But like anything else, it comes with a price. And the price is that it kind of disturbs your creative process, because if you're constantly thinking like, oh, I need to do more. I need to do more in order for me to get more attention. And if I posted a video that did not get enough likes or did not get enough views or shares or people commenting, then I feel like I am less than. I feel like I'm inadequate. And that's it. It could train us to not feel fulfilled. And it might even destroy our creative process. It's like, well, what's the point of doing this if nobody's going to see this? What's the point of doing this if nobody's going to feel, if no one's gonna like it, if no one's gonna watch it? Like, what's the point of putting so much effort? And I totally understand where that comes from, right? Because I've been on that boat too. But if if you think about the reasons behind why you do the things that you do, if you focus on reasons come first, then your answers come second, then everything else will start altering, right? You have to know your why you want to do the things that you do. Is it because of other outside validation, or is it because that really excites you? So, and I could give you a little personal, I'll give you a little personal thing later on down the slides, but it disturbs the creative process. This isn't to say that those who are creating that is, trying to do that to get attention, but it's like, well, if you're naturally good at what you do, you're naturally going to get attention. So the main idea is, what is your intention behind getting this type of attention? There's always an intention. Like, what is your intention? What's the whole reason why you do the things that you do today? Is it because you will get more liked? Is it because that other people could congratulate you? Or is it because you really like doing whatever that you do? Maybe you draw, maybe you play an instrument, maybe you sing. Whatever creative process that you're doing, why are you doing that? So that why becomes super, super important. Okay. So now, while getting attention, a lot of people do it for self-validations, right? The need for approval. Since we got a little bit of it, we just want more. Now, the question is like, well, so how much attention is enough? And just like anything, just like money, how much money is enough for you? And how many followers you have is enough? And now, being addicted to getting attention is almost like being addicted to anything else. Number one, most important thing is that it's never enough. Well, if I had $1 million. Hello. If only I have $1 million, or this much money in my bank account, right? Or 1,000 followers, or 10,000 to maybe 500, 100,000, whatever, right? To 1 million. I'm sorry, I don't speak Korean. And if you hear me, I'm getting a little sick, so I'm trying to get over something right now, but I'm doing my best. But yeah, it's like, well, it's never enough. Like being addicted to something, like anything, it's never enough. So it's no different than saying, once I get my dream girl, then I will be happy. Once I get this, then I will be happy. It's like, no, you won't, because then if you really think about it, happiness becomes this moving target. And once you get it, it still becomes this moving target. And what if it doesn't land on you? What if it doesn't land exactly where you want it to land? Then what happens? You become unhappy. So the feeling of inadequacy is what drives us to keep wanting more of this, quote unquote, getting attention. Okay. Now, paying attention, on the other hand, and this is what Joseph Gordon-Levitt said. He said that if your creativity is driven by the desire to get attention, you are never going to be creatively fulfilled. Let me say that again, because I just butchered the whole thing. If your creativity is driven by the desire to get attention, you're never going to be creatively fulfilled. Meaning that, well, if my purpose is, you know what, I'm gonna dance because, I love dancing. Just people that know me, I like dancing. So it's like, if I'm gonna only dance so that other people could watch me dance and they could congratulate me and be like, oh my God, you do this so well and this and that, then it's like, I would never be fulfilled. I would never be creative enough, because once I feel like I got it, then it's kind of like, I don't really need to improve. Now, if my creativity is driven because I personally want to get better, well, guess what? I'm naturally going to get better, especially if I like it. What's up? Is it Kaisa? What's going on? So there's another thing that you can do with your attention, and that is paying attention. Okay. By paying attention, And then like I said in the beginning, just like how technology has made it very easy to get access to getting attention, paying attention right now, especially to yourself, seems to have decreased. There's not a lot of paying attention. What's going on, Crystal? So paying attention seems to have been decreased because of one, social media's whole purpose is so that they could keep you on that app. And when they keep you on that app, they get ad revenue. And when they get ad revenue, so it's in their best, like I said, it's in their best interest to get you to use the app as long as possible, so that they can make more. And the more followers you have, the more people that watches your stuff, the more they could push it out. Like I said, it's like it's in their best interest to make as much money as possible. And I totally understand that. But then it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of you it's almost designing us to become this creature of, damn, I just need to start getting attention. But and I'll get into the more attention you always try to get, the more unhappy you become. All right. So technology has made it very easy to get attention. Paying attention seems to have decreased. The other side of the coin reads that you try to get attention. Paying attention seems to have decreased. So when you pay less attention to yourself and you try to get more attention from other people because your reason is to get attention, you become less happy. You become much unhappier. But if you start focusing on yourself and you start paying attention, which also means that you sit back, you don't really talk when the other person's giving you the advice or whatever that you're trying to do, and you start paying attention, the happier you become. Why? Because it means that you also, well, you just can't just sit there and pay attention and not do anything. You still got to pay attention and then do the work. Put action, apply action. That's how you make a difference. So the more focus you put on paying attention, the happier you become. And said this before in one of my previous episodes, but then I had a friend that when I was talking to him, I didn't know he was a dancer in the beginning, but eventually I found out, and I was like, oh hey, like I'm trying to do a music video, blah blah blah. And I found out he was like, oh shit, I didn't know you were, you do dancing, blah blah blah. I was like, oh yeah, I do. And then I was like, oh yeah, so like what's your reason? Like, because I was curious. I'm curious about a lot of things. So I started asking, I was like, what's the reason why you became a dancer? He was like, oh yeah, man, there's a lot of girls. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess. I mean, I could see that, you move, it looks nice, it attracts them, you're confident. It's like, yeah, I can see that. He was like, yeah, but this is what happened. The moment he got a girlfriend, he stopped dancing. So his reason behind wanting to dance was because he just wanted a girl. And this was early. Like, I'm talking about 2000, late 2000s, like 2007, 2008. So yeah, his reasoning was because he wanted a girl. The moment he got a girlfriend, he stopped dancing. He became comfortable with the idea of, I already got what I wanted. Now that I got it, I don't really need to do it anymore. So he became creatively unmotivated the moment he got a girlfriend. And I was like, I mean, if that's what his main goal was, like, but then, like I said, it's like, oh, once I have this, then I'll be happy. Once I get into this relationship, then I'll be happy. Once I get this, like, happiness should not be an external factor. Happiness must come from within first, because that's the whole goal. And then the happier you are within yourself and you're able to do the things that you love, well, by creating the environment that you always wanted, the happier of a person you are. And the better you become from that, you're naturally gonna draw better and more positive people into your life too. So then you're actually going to be more repulsed by the other people. That becomes more negative. Now, we choose our reasons for doing things. More importantly, we need to know our why. So what is the reason why you do it? It's like, for me, I love dancing because one is great cardio, and two, it makes me feel amazing after I'm done. Like especially if I'm looking at a choreography and I'm like, oh, like I want to do this choreography. I think it's really cool. I want to see if I could do it. So for me, it's a challenge, and I'm like, well, if I could do this, then what makes you like what makes you think I can't do a next one, or maybe I could challenge myself, and then it's like, and you just see yourself grow, and it's through that process of growing that's what personally makes me excited about it. And then if I see myself becoming better at it, it's like, wow, like you're working towards it, you becoming better. It's like, why wouldn't you get better, especially with the things that you like to do? And so yeah, it's been a long time. I think I was what, 14, 15. Let's just even say 16, okay? So it's been at least 20 years that I've been at a minimum of 20 years of dancing. And to this day, I still love it. I still love it. So, okay. Now, this is something that Joseph Gordon-Levitt said during his TED Talk, which kind of, stood out to me a lot. And since I did this episode before, and I got to do it again, it gave me a little bit more insight. It actually taught me something different. So that's the beauty of it. It's like, have you ever read a book and then you read it again, you're like, oh my god, how did I miss this? Or how, like, this is something that I never even thought about. And it kind of shows that you kind of grow from that too. So it's beautiful. So he says that I try not to see other creative people as my competitors. I try to find collaborators, because if you're always constantly going and looking at them as competitors, oh my god, this person has more followers than me, or oh my god, this person does it better than me, then you would never be able to collaborate within yourself to try to become better. It's like then the energy totally shifts. So, and I talked about being from a collaborative mindset versus a competitive mindset. People that start from a competitive mindset, their energy level is pretty low. And it usually comes from a negative place. Meaning it's like, oh, like I could probably do better than you. It's like, oh, you ain't all that. Things like that, right? So there's a big difference between being competitive versus being collaborative. When you're being collaborative, you actually start paying attention to yourself. When you're being too competitive, you're actually trying to not get the attention for yourself, or your purpose is to get attention from other people. So you see how that shifts, right? So how does this permeate to your relationship? Now, if you think about it from this perspective, if you're out there and you're always constantly trying to get attention from other people, meaning that you're seeking attention and validation just so that you can feel better about yourself, you would never be satisfied. Oh, this person gave me attention. Well, okay, what else? Well, that means that I want more. So you will never be satisfied. Just like addiction is never enough. The attention, now, if you think about it too, as well, if you're in a relationship and you're constantly getting attention from other people, that's you have no integrity. You're trying to seek validation. You're entertaining other people. It's like, what's the point of being in a relationship, right? So you're not really doing yourself any type of favors. And if you want a long-lasting relationship, a loving relationship, that's not going to really happen if you're constantly trying to get attention from other people. Now, it's almost as if you had a cup with a small hole on the bottom. If you're constantly going out there and your intention is to get attention from other people, it's like having a cup. It's like if you were the cup and there's a little tiny hole at the bottom, and the moment you turn around, you come back to you expect it to be full, or where you left it at. It's like, no, it would never be like that. It will always be like, well, I need more. I'm always gonna need more. While getting attention now is not necessarily a bad thing. Paying attention is what will get you over this little hump, right? It will get you over the bridge towards success, especially through a relationship as well, because the more you pay attention to yourself and what you do, the less likely you would need other people's approval, because you know you're constantly doing things. So what does it all boil down to? It all kind of narrows to massive action. It just narrows down to massive action. What kind of actions are you doing? What are you doing to better yourself, to make yourself improve? And are you actually doing it to become better, or are you just kind of like blindly do it? And what I mean by that is, example is when I dance. Sometimes when I dance just to dance. But other times when I'm dancing, I'm like, no, I need to get this move down, which means that I might need to spin a little bit faster. I might need to do this, or you know what? Maybe I'm a little tight in the hips. So I'm getting up there in age, right? I'm getting tight in the hips. Also, if I just lost a little weight, that spin would be a lot better. Things like that. Like, that's how I start focusing on within myself, so that I could become better at what I do. That's just an example. Another one is when I'm playing video games. You know, all the best people, like basketball players, football players, they all rewatch their game to see what kind of mistakes that they have done. They all do that. So the whole idea is, if you're constantly going out there trying to get attention from other people, you're not really paying enough attention to yourself. So if you do find yourself in that situation and you are that type of person, what I would suggest is take a step back. Take a step back. While getting attention that's nice is validating, it shouldn't be a whole reason of getting self-validation so that you can feel better about yourself. Take a step back and zoom out, right? Zoom out. And this is how you can see the bigger picture. Most people, they zoom in super close, and they just get down to the nitty gritty. It's like, no, like zoom out, get the bigger picture, see where you made some mistakes, and then at that point you could zoom back in, and you could be like, wow, okay, so this is what I need to work on. This is how I could become better. And that is how you become a better collaborator, not within just yourself, but with other people, so that you can see the mistakes that you've done. And obviously, if you have a coach, someone like me that could help you, it'll be a lot easier to kind of spot out certain mistakes. But I'm not always accessible. I'm not always available. So you have to be able to, number one, like participate in your own rescue. And you have to willingly to want to do it enough for yourself. I'm just a little kind of like a bonus, right? It's just like, it's no different than hiring me as your personal trainer. I do that too, right? It's no different than hiring me to be your trainer, and then it's like, well, you go back home and you eat like shit. It's like, well, what good was that? Really depends on your goal, but it's like, well, what good is that? If your goal was to lose weight, but then you hire me and then you go back home and you eat like shit, like that's not going to help you anywhere, right? So the longer, there's a quote that I always like, I love, which is, the longer you always entertain what's not for you, the longer you postpone what is yours. Now, in today's society, a lot of people don't even know what they want. So it's important to know what you want. And if you don't know what you want to write things down. You want to make sure that, hey, you know what? This is what I want to become. I'm going to work towards that. At the very least, the worst case scenario is if you work towards a thing that you thought you wanted and you no longer want it, at least you gave it a shot. More people do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So a lot of people would more likely than not, they sit on the sidelines. They don't really think about it. They just kind of go to work, come back home, and be unfulfilled. They're like, I'm just gonna eat whatever, or I'm just gonna do this. And you know what? If that's how you want to live your life, then absolutely. But over here on this channel, in Mr. Mitchell Tang's channel, you're here, you're watching this because you want to become a better person. And when you want to become a better person and you want to improve your life, you're not here to live a mediocre life. You're here because you want an extraordinary life. And in order to have an extraordinary life, you have to be good within yourself. You have to know that you're good. And by doing so, it requires a lot of time, dedication, commitment, and it's never ending. It's like one of the funny thing was I had someone, he was like, I was training him, he was like, Mitchell, do I have to work out for the rest of my life? I was like, I mean, you don't have to. It's like, if you want to be strong and become stronger, I suggest you do it, because whatever you don't do, it's like I was like, what if you worked right now and then you're like, I don't want to work anymore, but you still want to live exactly how you want to live. Like, how are you going to be able to sustain that, right? So he was like, all right, fair point. And I was like, yeah, you kind of have to do this for the rest of your life if you want to be stronger and better. So yeah, getting back to whole getting attention versus paying attention. When you're able to pay attention to yourself and then you do more things to get closer towards the goal that you want, you become happier, you become a better person naturally for yourself and the people around you. But then when you constantly going outside trying to seek for attention so that you can feel better about yourself, like I said, just like a drug, it will never be enough. You're addicted to the attention. The more you get this high, and then eventually it crashes back down. You feel like it's not enough, and so you crave it more. And so, like I said, how social media, the way it's designed for you to stay on, so that it's in their best interest for you to be on, to get as much followers and as possible and all that, so that they can make more money by driving more ads towards you, right? The more people you have that watches you, the more people, or the more likely that people are going to watch you. And if they have ads, well, guess what? There's ad revenue, right? So if your goal is to pay it, if you want to be happier, I highly suggest paying attention to what you want and what you need, and hone that, and ask yourself, well, how do I become better? What does it take for me to become better? And it's understanding like, hey, this is gonna take time. Nothing great comes right away, instantly, at least, right? Like, we all want things quick. It's like, I worked really hard on myself in order to be where I'm at mentally today. And I still feel like, me personally, I still feel like there's a long way to go. And the beauty of that is, damn, like, I could always become better. And just like today's episode, even though I call this an express episode, which is only 30 minutes long, I've learned something that I might have missed. Or, it's interesting, because every single time I go back to my old lives that I've done, and the things I've written down, it shows how much further, at least when I'm reading it, I'm like, I could add so much more, which kind of tells me, like, okay, Mitchell, like, you've gotten a long way. There's more to this, but where you were at when you first did it versus where you're at now, there was a lot of growth. Because when I was retyping this and I was re-editing, I was like, wow, like, there's a lot of things that I missed. But it's not necessarily that I missed, I just didn't really put it in because I didn't know. And so that was the beauty of that. And it gets me excited. I want to do more of this. So I'm looking forward to more Sundays at 5 or 5:30. I'll figure out a solid time. But today, this was a little test, and it's interesting. I really like it. I like it a lot. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this live video. If you have any questions, you can leave in a comment below. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. This is a refresher. I'm always learning something new. Great. You know what's funny too? I'm sorry, because I have sniffles and everything right now too, right? I'm like, when I did this episode, was I also sick? Was I also sick when I did this episode? Because I'm like, I'm not feeling the best. I'm at first it was, I wasn't as hot, or I wasn't hot. And then now after wearing this, I'm burning up. But that's besides the point. Yeah. Had a great time doing this though. would say it was very fun doing this. I got to add on a lot more too as well, so that helped a lot. I might have a fever. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe. But I did sleep a lot, so that's cool. And I got to get a little workout in, so that was great. But I'm looking forward to doing more of this, if not once a week, maybe at least once every 2 weeks at the minimum. And then I'll figure out a time that works best for me too as well. But thank you, Crystal. Appreciate it. Gave me this idea. I was like, yeah, I've been planning to do another one, but I haven't really thought about what I wanted to do. So, and you know what? I might not even do the old episodes. I might add in something new. Who knows? Who knows? Right? So it was fun. But thank you all for staying on. And this is my 30-minute express episode. So if you guys do like this, let me know down in the comments below. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right. But I will always be here on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll catch you guys in the next live. Bye-bye.